What if I told you the simple fork, the one you've probably used 100 times this week, was once seen as a tool of the devil? It's true. For centuries, this everyday object was so controversial, it was condemned by the church as a scandalous display of gluttony and decadence. We take it for granted now, but the history of the fork is a journey filled with suspicion, scandal, and surprise. We're about to explore the true origin of the fork, uncovering the hidden story behind one of the most common inventions that changed the world. This is the history of everyday objects, and today we're going behind the scenes of the fork. Our story begins not in Europe, but in the Byzantine Empire around the 11th century. The very first known use of a table fork was not for meat, but for fruit. An 11th century Byzantine princess, Theodora Anadoukina, brought a small, two-pronged fork with her to Venice for her wedding. But her refined table manners were not met with admiration. Instead, the local clergy were horrified. They declared her use of the fork an affront to God, arguing that God gave us our fingers to eat with. The princess was deemed too proud to touch her food with her hands, and the simple act of using a fork was labeled a sin. Despite the initial condemnation, the fork slowly found its footing, especially in Italy. By the 16th century, the Italian Renaissance, with its emphasis on art and refinement, embraced the utensil. It became a symbol of status and sophistication among the upper class. The fork's practicality became undeniable, especially for eating tricky pasta dishes, which were a mess with just a knife and spoon. This period was a major turning point in the fork invention and its social acceptance. You might think the fork's journey was complete, but it faced one final major hurdle: France. The French nobility, known for their elaborate feasts, resisted the fork for another century. King Louis XIV himself preferred to eat with his hands, considering the fork effeminate and awkward. It wasn't until the 18th century, with the rise of more structured dining etiquette, that the fork finally became a staple at French tables, solidifying its place in European culture. The forks we use today are a far cry from their ancestors. The initial two-pronged design was clumsy, designed more for spearing than scooping. As culinary needs evolved, so did the fork. A third prong was added to prevent food from slipping, and eventually, the four-pronged design became the standard, perfect for both impaling and lifting. This final change was a critical part of the fork documentary, showing how form follows function. From a devil's tool to an essential kitchen utensil, the history of the fork is a powerful reminder that even the most mundane objects have a secret past. This tiny piece of metal isn't just for eating. It's a tangible link to centuries of social norms, cultural clashes, and human innovation. The next time you sit down to eat, you'll know that you're holding a piece of history right in your hand. If you're fascinated by the hidden stories behind everyday things, hit that like button, subscribe to The Object Historian, and join our journey into the past. Tell us in the comments what everyday object you want us to research next.